friends. Welcome to Self-Care in Stressful Times. My name is Dana Bristol Smith with Leap to Success, and I am so happy to welcome you here today. This session today is called Embracing Confidence. And you might be wondering, what does confidence have to do with stress? So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Now, if you have a sense of low confidence, could you have difficulty making decisions? Yeah, I think that answer could be yes. Could you have difficulty speaking up? I think that answer could also be yes. And when we think about our professional lives, asking for what we are worth, if we don't have a sense or a strong sense of confidence, that would be something that would be really difficult to do. So I'm going to be sharing with you today 5 confident behaviors that help to conquer the imposter syndrome. And this comes from a report that we published called Everyone in Business Needs Confidence. And a couple of years ago, we took a survey of close to 300 business women, and we asked them about the role that confidence played in their lives. Now, some of that information we were able to use in our programs, specifically Leap to Confidence, and also in a series that we put together for women in other professions, and particularly entrepreneurs, to help them build more confidence, to be more successful in their business. So I'm excited to share part 2 of this information with you this afternoon. And at the end of the webinar today, I'm going to let you know how you can download this report. We'll make it available to you as well. It's a 4-page report with all kinds of good information and charts. And this is what I'm going to be sharing today, the key lessons that we learned from CEOs. Before we dive in, I would like to check in with you on the current level of stress that you are carrying. For those of you who've come to the webinar multiple times, you know that we check in at the beginning with our stress poll, and then we check in at the end. So I'm going to ask Louisa, our program assistant, if she will go ahead and put up the stress poll. I don't see it just yet, so hopefully it is on its way. There it is. Thank you so much, Louisa. And this is Louisa's first time today supporting our self-care in stressful times. So thank you, Louisa, for stepping into Alyssa's big shoes. Okay, I see the responses coming in, and they are coming in very quickly. And they are between 4 and 9. I don't see anybody who's up at a 10, so that's a good thing. And it'll run for just a few more seconds. So thank you so much for entering your number. And it looks like the average is about a 6. So go ahead and take a deep breath. And I'm going to invite Kelly Grimes to lead us through a guided mindfulness practice so we can start taking that stress level down. Here's Kelly.
Thank you so much, Dana, and welcome everyone. I love that you're prioritizing yourself and taking a few minutes just to settle in. And that's why we do a mindfulness practice at the beginning of every single self-care and stressful time. So I want to invite you to settle into where you're seated. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, or soften them down. And let's take a few breaths in through our nose and out through our mouth. You might even make a sound. Exhaling through our mouth is a really empowering way to settle our nervous system and kind of give our body the message that it's okay to pause and relax. I want to invite you to bring a spirit of curiosity and non-judgment to yourself as you notice the support underneath where you're seated, as you notice the support underneath your feet. I know many of you are in many different caring professions where you give a lot to others. And so it's so important to be reminded that we're supported as well. Even just pausing to recognize that you're supported by the seat underneath you and the earth underneath your feet. I'm going to invite you to bring your attention now to your body. Notice if there's any place that you're holding any tension or tightness in this moment. This practice of coming home to ourselves and just tuning in to what is there gives us a lot of information to then make nurturing and supportive choices for ourselves. So notice if there's any place in your body you have any pain or discomfort. And when I notice those places, I like to breathe in a little bit more love and kindness to those areas. Really intentionally breathe in a sense of compassion for myself. I want to invite you to tune into any emotion that you recognize that you're feeling in this moment. And as you do, you might just notice how that emotion expresses itself in your body. Sometimes if we're feeling excited about something, we might feel kind of an expansion. If we're feeling any anxiety, we might feel that with some tenseness. Wherever you're feeling, just it's information, and you have an opportunity to really listen. Listen to what wisdom is arising in this moment for you. I invite you to release awareness of your body now and come back to your breath. Notice how it feels to breathe in. Notice if you can breathe in more deeply than you could originally, and how it feels to completely exhale. If you notice that you're still feeling a sense of anxiety, then exhale through your mouth. That allows our sympathetic nervous system to be engaged and really allow a sense of relaxation and calm. And a reminder that all is well, that in this moment, all is well. I invite you to place your hand on your heart and acknowledge yourself for taking this time out, for prioritizing you, and coming to learn new ways to embrace self-confidence. Breathe into that sense of gratitude. Send that gratitude back out. Remembering that acknowledging ourselves is another practice of cultivating self-confidence. Remembering that it's progress, not perfection on this journey. And when you're ready, allow your eyes to float open. Return back into your space. You may move your body around a little bit. And you can just tune in and notice if there's been a change. That was just 5 minutes. We always want to remind you that mindfulness practices don't have to take a long time to have a really powerful impact. So I'm going to welcome back Dana to share this wonderful information with you, and thank you for participating.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your calm presence in the midst of a busy day. So I'm so glad that each of you are giving yourself this time, that you're making the investment in your own well-being, because that's exactly what you're doing by carving out this 30 minutes in the middle of the day. And in part one of our webinar, which was 2 weeks ago, this month, we've been exploring the theme of confidence. And our affirmation for the month of July is, I am confident in my abilities. And that's been a really powerful affirmation for people to use who haven't always felt confident in their abilities. But I think when we are more capable and we acknowledge ourselves for our capabilities, we build our sense of confidence. So in part one, which was 2 weeks ago, we explored what the impacts of low confidence are for women. And today what we're going to look at are what are the behaviors that we can put into place that will allow us to feel more confident. And I want to tell you a little bit of background on the survey that we took. And the survey and the report that we published was called Every Woman in Business Needs Confidence. So we surveyed professional women who were entrepreneurs, women who had started their own businesses and had grown their businesses to where they had employees. The other category was solopreneurs, women who were running their own businesses, but they were the whole show. They were the CEO, the employee, and the janitor. They were doing it all. And then women who were employees of other organizations. So those are the three types of professional roles of women that participated in this survey. And what we learned came particularly from the women who identified themselves as CEOs, because we wanted to take a look at how were these women able to be successful and what role did confidence play in their ability to start and develop successful businesses and for their own sense of confidence. So what I'm going to be sharing with you right now is called the 5 confident behaviors that conquer the imposter syndrome, because often we can feel like imposters, like we're just faking it. You've probably heard the phrase, which I really don't like at all, which is fake it until you make it. And the reason I don't like that is because we are not taking ownership of our own worth and our own value. We're thinking we have to be someone different. We have to be a faker in order to be successful. And I would like to eliminate that from our vocabulary, because I think that actually decreases our confidence, because we don't feel our own worth and our own value. And I think that's so important for women. So here are the 5 confident behaviors. And the first one is called the art of asking. Leaders have mustered the courage. They've walked through their fears and anxiety, and they have mastered the art of asking for what they want. And they ask for their value. They ask customers for the business. If they are employees, they can ask their supervisors for what they need in order to be successful. But women who have mastered the art of asking are able to do it in their personal lives and their professional lives. And one of the key things that they do is they ask for support and help in business. They realize that they cannot be an island. They can't do everything themselves. So they're able to build teams, and they look for others who have expertise that they don't have to complement them and to help their businesses be successful. Now, they also delegate activities and tasks that they are not best suited for, and they can also outsource activities to build the capacity of their organizations. And over 60% of them, and I think this was really interesting, have sought and found mentors to help them learn and grow and become successful. So I'm going to ask Louisa to go ahead and put our chart up on the screen, because I want you to see the other activities that women took in order to ask for support. So here it is, and what you'll see is that finding a mentor, 65% of CEOs were able to do that. Only 44% of the solopreneurs and almost half of women who were employees were able to find a mentor. And I think that's really having the mindset that we don't have to do it on our own. We can ask for support, and that will help us be more successful. You'll see the next activity was working with a coach. 41% of CEOs said that they were able to work with a coach. For solopreneurs, it was 46%. And for women who were employees, only 20% of them had access to a coach. And that's not surprising. Now, here's where the greatest number of women took action to build their confidence, and they did it through self-study. And I think what you're doing today by this self-care webinar is a self-study activity that you are investing in. So self-study, 76% of CEOs said that they engaged in self-study. That could be books, podcasts, different radio shows, documentaries perhaps. 82% of solopreneurs used self-study and 68% of employees. So the majority here. And then the last item that we asked about was, did they take workshops and classes to build their confidence? 35% of CEOs said that they did. 65% of solopreneurs said that they did, and 54% of employees. And then the final question that we asked them to rate is, did they feel like they had not done enough? And you'll see about a third said that they felt like they had not done enough to build their confidence. And I think what I want to stress here is that building confidence is an ongoing activity. And confidence, like a muscle, is something that we have to build and continue to practice. So thank you, Louisa, for showing us those activities. And let me go on to the next item. In addition, women were able to maintain and build a support system at home. So they had supportive partners, family and friends, and paid help. So they didn't have to do everything by themselves at home. Because if you're really going to spend a lot of time and energy in your professional life, you need to have that support behind you to help at home. So successful women were able to ask for that support for what they want and what they need in order to be successful, both in the workplace and at home. Okay, here's the second item. They were able to get comfortable with discomfort. So what do I mean by that? They face their fear of rejection head on. That's not always easy to do. They're able and they're willing to negotiate, to have those difficult conversations, and they reach out to people they don't know with higher confidence and frequency by being willing to reach out, to make cold calls, to introduce themselves to new people, or to ask people that they knew for referrals. So they get comfortable with the discomfort of asking, with putting themselves on the line. And I think one of the hardest things for us, excuse me, is that we really fear rejection. And think about that for a moment for yourself. Is rejection something that is really difficult for you to think about? And do you hold yourself back from asking for things because of the fear of rejection? I think the answer could be yes. Okay, my third item is they see setbacks as growth experiences. So they've earned their confidence the hard way. They've recovered from devastating setbacks and failures, and they've demonstrated their courage and perseverance, and they have developed their own resilience. And their confidence has grown through its use. So think about that for a moment. How are you working on your own confidence? Are you putting yourself in situations where you feel like you have to stretch and grow? Are you able to think about setbacks as opportunities for learning rather than failures? I think a lot of this really has to do with the mindset that we hold for ourselves. Okay, our number 4 is they take initiative. They've forged their way by starting businesses on their own. They've led by examples, and they've shown others, and they've shown themselves that they can reach for and achieve their goals, their hopes, and their dreams. So I think you've probably heard the phrase, success begets success. So if you have one success, you can build on it to the next and to the next. And I think it's so important that we acknowledge ourselves for those areas where we've been successful. And so we can continue to grow and continue to build on those successes. And here's number 5. And I'm curious to see what you're going to think about this. Successful women, CEOs in business, communicate boldly and unapologetically. You know, this reminds me of one of the exercises in our Leap to Confidence program. We talk about empowering language. And I'd like you to think about this for a moment. Are you someone who, when something goes wrong, and maybe even something out of your control, where you step in and you say, I'm sorry, where you apologize, perhaps over and over again for situations that you had no control over? You know, this is something that I think we as women, we tend to take responsibility for everything. And we think that if things don't go well or as they should, that we have to apologize. And sometimes we apologize so much that, we almost apologize just for living. So if that's something that you catch yourself doing, apologizing for things that you have no right or no need to apologize for, I'd like to suggest that you reduce that. So become aware of those times where you say, I'm sorry. So here's though what we mean by communicating boldly and unapologetically. These successful women clearly articulate their own value as well as the value of their company, their products and their services. And they have developed their public speaking skills, and they use them. CEOs rate their confidence level at 94% for public speaking, which is more than 20% more than women who are employees rate their confidence in public speaking. So if you are looking to build more confidence in your life, a great activity that you can participate in is learning public speaking skills. And there's organizations like Toastmasters, which is the most well-known and largest in the world, which is a public speaking organization. And there are meetings that happen morning, noon, and night. And you be with a group of peers, supporting each other and following a curriculum to give speeches and develop public speaking. And we also have a leadership program called Transformation Leadership that we invite women who have demonstrated leadership potential, who are graduates of our Leap to Confidence program, to consider a investment in themselves and developing their leadership and public speaking skills, because it's such a huge confidence booster. So I've just gone over the 5 confident behaviors that conquer the imposter syndrome. And now I'd like to ask you a question. After hearing those different behaviors, what is one thing that you can do to build your own confidence? Perhaps it's one of the things that CEOs have done, or something that you've thought of on your own. And I'm going to invite Kelly to come back on and share with us her thoughts. But go ahead and write in the chat what you can do to continue developing your confidence. And Kelly, what do you think about that?
Well, I love their practices, Dana, because the fact is that confidence isn't a destination. It is something that needs to be continually nurtured. And we see that confidence dips a little bit when we have a setback or when we have something new. So I love that we can look at these practices. And my number one favorite one is asking for help. It actually is a tremendously confident act to ask for help, because it helps you clarify what you need so that you could actually then expand your support system. And I know that's so important to the work that we do in all of our Leap to Success programs, is really having women feel the support to continue to grow their confidence.
Yeah, thank you for that. And it's interesting. I think some of us walk around with the mindset that if we ask for help, it makes us look weak. But I think it's really just the opposite, because it takes confidence to be able to ask for help. It means that we have a sense of our own worth, a sense of our own value, and we can realistically know what we are good at and what we need help with. And I think that when we find people who can complement that, it helps us be more successful, whether that's a mentor or a coach or a colleague, a coworker that we might ask for help. And I see our responses coming into the chat, and this is great. So someone has said one thing that she uses to build her own confidence are daily affirmations. And that's wonderful. That's a tool that we teach. And okay, and I think many of the people know about our own affirmation deck that we've created, the Leap to Your Best Life. Someone else has said, take a deep breath and go for it, even when I'm doubting myself. That's great. And what I really appreciate here is she didn't say fake it until she makes it, but she takes a deep breath and moves forward. So kind of like the Nike phrase, just do it, but with that intentional breath. Someone else says, I look at my setbacks as growth experiences using the growth mindset. And that's wonderful. Kelly, do you want to read a couple of these?
Yeah, I love this next one, research and prepare. That's so, we have so many tools available to us, and I always feel way more confident if I've prepared, I know what I'm talking about, I've rehearsed. I love that. And the next one I see here is work on communicating boldly. I have wanted to join a Toastmasters group, and I'm going to take the next step and actually do it.
That's great. And I want to share here, I joined Toastmasters a number of years ago because my background had been working in education, and I was presenting school assembly programs in elementary schools. And I did that for a couple years, and I spoke to more than 100,000 students and teachers. And I was comfortable in that environment. I certainly wasn't when I started, but in order to make the transition to working with adults and doing corporate training, which is the next thing that I wanted to do, I joined Toastmasters because it was a great practice environment, and it was peers. It was other people that were wanting to do that professionally, and it was a great confidence booster. So I highly recommend that. And then I see the next person sent in, she said, I want to build my work schedule around activities that support my growth rather than sacrificing that time and working during those times. Yeah, that's great. And that sounds like someone who's really wants to take control of her schedule because she wants to put her own growth first, which I think is great. And that definitely takes confidence in order to do that. Yeah, so those were great activities. So I hope that each of you will follow through and participate in those activities. So thank you for giving us those answers. And now I'd like to go ahead and take our final stress poll, and go ahead, if you would, and rate yourself on that 1 to 10 scale. Check in with yourself and see what your current level of stress is. I know I certainly feel less stressed at the end of this conversation. And I think that, that anticipation that we feel sometimes, we think of it as nervousness or anxiety, but I think it's just part of being human. When we have activities that we are excited about, that we want things to go well, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And I think that's normal. I don't think that's a lack of confidence, but it's just recognizing what's important to us. Very good. It looks like our average here is probably about a 4. So very good job. We definitely came down. So thank you for participating in the poll. And now I mentioned at the beginning of our session that I would love for each of you to have a copy of our report. Every Woman in Business Needs Confidence, the 4-page report of the survey that we took. And I'll ask Louisa to go ahead and put the link in the chat, and you can go ahead and click on the link and download this for yourself. It's a PDF file. So I'm very happy for you to have it. And if you are watching this from Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and send me an email at Dana, D-A-N-A, at leap2success.org, and I will be very happy to email the report to you. And Kelly, would you like to read our closing quote?
I would be delighted to. You have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. Louise Hay.
Yeah, thank you so much. And friends, I'm so happy that you joined us today. And I look forward to seeing you next time. If you are with us live, we are now doing the webinar the first and third Tuesdays of the month. So our next live webinar will be Tuesday, August 3rd at noon. So have a great couple of weeks, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, friends. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.